Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your dangerous hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC, and when there's just too much cool anime to watch, we've got you covered. A new year, a new anime season, so you know what that means. We have a bunch of season premieres for you in the sneak peek, which is coming up momentarily, and after that, we will dig down to the core of what makes the father-daughter adventure story of Sakugan worth watching. So get your marker gear, jump into your power drill equipped mech, and definitely don't pause the pod. We'll be right back. Alright, sneak peek time. As it turns out, I have a bunch of nopes and John has none, so...
I barely watched anything.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, this season, as we've already determined before the recording, is a bit of slim picking seasons. I mean, that can sometimes happen, but it's kind of... You would see we also have not a lot of reviews scheduled for this season. Pretty much only 2. You will get 3 episodes though, because the next one will be a special one. But you can probably already guess what the topic will be. But yeah, for our actual reviews, there's only 2 this season, and for the sneak peek, there is not many things we're probably gonna keep watching. But yeah, as usual, we have our 3 sections: the nopes, the maybes, and the keepers. And the nopes are the shows that. In this case, I checked out and decided to and not gonna keep watching. So let's start with those, and after that the maybes, the shows that we might keep on watching, and the keepers that we definitely will, unless they turn out to be to go off the rails, fly off the cliff, run themselves against the concrete wall, whatever you might want to call it. Anyway, Let's start. You know, it has happened before, John.
No, you're right, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want to be. I don't want to doom prophesize whatever, but there's enough of that on Twitter. Let's just say some shows just, I don't know. They have a predisposition for this kind of thing just from the setup alone, and you never know. You never know. It might just go horribly wrong at some point. Let's hope not. Anyway. Let's start with the nopes, shows that are already going wrong in one way or another. And the first one on my list is Girls Frontline, or Dolls Frontline.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a gacha game adaptation thing.
It certainly is, because a friend of ours plays GFL a lot, and he was super looking forward to seeing all his gun waifus on the screen animated.
Gunfu. I thought Gunfu was the thing they do in Equilibrium, but sure. That's fine too.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I think it's Raifu.
Oh, right, yeah. That makes sense. That makes absolute sense. Yeah, there are a bunch of Raifus in this. And the show is either for the fans of those, or for people like maybe old men who jerk off to tactical maneuvering in war scenarios, because that's all this show is. It's a squad of, I think, 4 girls, if I remember correctly. I was paying only half attention after a while. And they are fighting like I don't know, they themselves might be robots or cyborgs, and they're fighting other cyborgs, and that's how they explain. That's how they explain how there's a bunch of the same models in the same fucking army. Hey, they're all robots. They all look the same.
Yeah, I mean, I played the game for a hot second, and that was what I was able to glean from it too. So I don't think you're far off.
Yeah. So speaking of those 2 target audiences, I'm neither. The action is well directed, and the OP and ED kick ass. They're really good, but that's not going to be enough to keep me around. I mean, like, the characters don't seem like they are shit or anything. It just feels like I can already smell who that show is for and what that show is going to do mostly, and I'm not interested in that right now. And the action alone is not doing it for me. So that's it for that show. And I have no idea why they renamed it too. So whatever.
Our friend was talking about that at one point, and I don't remember the explanation, but there is one, so.
Okay. But anyway, I'm not going to watch that. Next one on the list is Futsal Boys. No. Just no.
Wow, okay.
I mean, I like sports anime, and this seems unfair to the sport of futsal, but it looks like football indoors with smaller goals, and that's it. I'm not familiar with the sport, but it just looks... Yeah, this feels like smaller football or smaller soccer, and that's it. And Captain Tsubasa, this is not. And especially not Haikyuu or anything of that quality. The characters are all archetypal pretty boys. The animation is decent, but cool special moves aside, which I always love in sports anime, this feels just so damn standard and phoned in. It's just so, hey, here's just gonna sell figures of these boys or posters to girls who watch this. I don't care. And, you know, the story is just a bunch of characters just finding themselves matching up on some training ground and then becoming a futsal team or something. So I've seen it a million times before, and nothing in this anime screams at me, oh, this is going to be something in the sports anime genre that you need to watch. So, no thank you. Next.
Sometimes it be that way.
Sometimes it be that way, yeah. And there's going to be enough other good sports. And let's hope for that there will be a new season of Haikyuu. God, I hope so. But yeah, for now, yeah, I don't need that. The next one is a more interesting thing. It's called Requiem for the Rose King, which is a fictionalized retelling of the War of the Roses. If you're maybe familiar with a bit of British history, the battle for the British or the English throne between the House of York and the House of Lancaster. That was the War of the Roses, which was also partially the inspiration for Game of Thrones. And the manga that the show is based on is also heavily inspired by the Shakespeare plays Richard III and Henry VI, which I have not seen.
Sure sounds like it from the concept.
Yeah. I might have read parts of Henry VI in English literature class, but if so, I don't remember anything about it. I'm sorry. But yeah, that alone was like, oh, this is interesting. We haven't had one of those in a while. I love me some anime adaptations of historical events and classic literature. I've been dying to rewatch Gankutsuo. I enjoyed Romeo x Juliet for what it was. Le Chevalier d'Eon was neat, and those definitely were some wilder interpretations of their source material or the historical figures and events they were based on. But I also dig the stuff that is closer to the books, like Little Women, for example. We both like Arte and Vinland Saga as far as historical pseudo-fiction thing goes. So there's definitely some good stuff in this genre. And this one has some interesting bits in it. The art style is very cool, a good mix of watercolor-styled backgrounds. It works with a lot of shadows and creepy atmosphere. Young Richard of York being haunted by a specter of Joan of Arc is an interesting supernatural or psychological component. And Richard also being trans in this is an interesting wrinkle, as well as his possible romance with Henry. But man, there's barely any animation in this fucking cartoon, John.
Oh no!
This is barely above a motion comic. Everything that would have demanded actual animation, like sword fighting or big battle scenes or horse riding, is mostly still frames. And the rest is talking heads.
Oh no, you hate to see it.
Yeah, I get it. It's basically a play, so I should be able to forgive that, but I want animation in my anime. I'm sorry, I can't.
I get it.
It's a shame, because this could have been a cool interpretation of this particular bookmark of history and, you know, the literature and everything. But I might as well read the manga, because the anime has nothing that really makes it worth putting time into watch it. Yeah, I guess the voice performances and maybe some of the music and it being in color and everything. But, you know, I want animation.
I know it's not in the same genre, but didn't that one, was it Way of the House Husband, have sort of the same issue?
Yes.
Where it was definitely more of a motion comic?
They just copy-pasted the manga panels and that was it. And I knew sometimes this can be a budget thing, and I'm pretty sure the target audience for this is not ginormous, so their budget probably wasn't super high or anything. So they had to probably cut some corners, but man, there are not any corners left in this anime. This just
kind of
round.
Off, huh?
Yes, it's just a fucking plate, and there's nothing on it. I mean, there's some stuff on it, but it's that plate is not moving. Yeah, I can't. I'm sorry. It was just the setup and everything. It's probably an interesting show, and I like the concept behind it and everything. And it seems like at least partially the people are putting the work in, at least, the voice actors and everything. So it's a shame. But man, just no. The direction also felt a bit weird in parts, but that might be attributed to it trying to be a play or stuff like that. But yeah, it just didn't work for me, and that's a shame. But what can you do? So we have enough to watch and to review anyway. Usually I have to cut some stuff off, and this is one of those. I wish I liked it more and it had more to offer. But yeah, the last nope on my list is Tribe 9. Another sports anime, kinda. So in 20XX...
Yeah, we finally reached Mega Man X.
Yeah, finally. I wish we got a proper Mega Man X anime.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. Was Mega Man X 21XX? Am I a fake fan? Oh no!
Was it? No, I think Mega Man X was 20XX, and I think Mega Man 0 was 21XX. Might be wrong though. I know Mega Man is 200X at the beginning when they start out.
Wait, no, it was 21XX. I am a fake fan.
Really? Oh, fuck, then I'm too.
Oh, no. Mega Man X began in July 21XX, according to the Journal of Dr. Kane.
Oh, no. Well, we fucked up. I'm going to cut that out of the podcast. Can't have our hyper Mega Man nerds' reputations being tarnished. They're so fucking important. Anyway, so Tribe 9 is then set in normal classic Mega Man timeline, I guess. Gangs called tribes have caused so much havoc due to their street war that the government has ordered them to solve their dispute through the most logical of solutions: extreme baseball.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. And one of the important main characters is Shun Kamiya. He's the head of the Minato tribe, one of the top ragtag teams that gets some new members in the first episode. And he's one of those guys that gives everyone funny nicknames like Tuna or Boring. I don't know. But yeah. As you might know, I love my sports anime as ridiculous as possible. I also love the realistic ones like Haikyuu, but I love it with, I love stuff with crazy super attacks and everything in it. And the show definitely got that covered. Extreme Baseball, as the name suggests, is playing loose with the rules. So one game is played all over the city. We got running up the side of buildings, we got lightsaber bats, we got fucking power armors that shoot baseballs from a railgun.
What?
Yes, John. And that's lovely. The soundtrack is great. I don't know who did it. I should have looked that up. I forgot. But it's great. The character design is by the Danganronpa guy. So it's got a really cool, neat, pop artsy, punky look to it, which I really dig. The problem is, baseball really isn't my sport, and also this needed to hit it out of the park animation wise to be really interesting, and it didn't. The action direction is kind of boring, and the animation itself is kind of mid-tier. I like the neon look, but that's about all that stands out aside from the character design. The characters themselves are fun, but super basic right now, and so is the story. If the production values were up there, this could have been a home run, but this just isn't.
Oh my God, stop.
Sorry.
No wonder it was produced by Leiden Films.
Yeah. I mean, you've done good stuff before, and like I said, it's not a bad show. If you're into sports anime, if you're in the mood for something more out there, with crazy super attacks, like, I don't know, what was the one game / anime produced by Level 5? Inazuma 11, like something like that.
I was about to say Yokai Watch, but I just...
it came after that, I guess. But so if you're in the mood for something crazy sports anime stuff like that, or Kuroko no Basket or stuff like that, sure, check it out. Maybe you're more into that, especially if you're more into baseball than I am. But that's not one of the sports that is played here in Germany, so I'm not that familiar with. I don't know anything about the rules, and I'm not actually anything I see of the sport is like, I'm not interested in this. I think the only thing I liked baseball related was it a League of Their Own, and
that's a pull.
Yeah, and Major League. I think I liked those two. Those were the two baseball things I watched that I liked. So, yeah, I don't know. Just this didn't hit on all cylinders in the first episode, and it needed to catch me, and so it didn't. So there you go.
Well, apparently the music was good because it was composed by Masafumi Takada, who did the music for the Danganronpa games, and those games have good music.
I wonder if this is also based on a game. You know, if it's also the same character designer from the Danganronpa thing. I don't know. Maybe if even one of the writers is involved. I doubt it.
Tribe 9 is a Japanese multimedia franchise created by Kazutaka Kodaka. So it's just another Danganronpa.
Yes. So I wonder if this is gonna go really dark and really bloody down the road. So I don't know. If I hear something about it like that, where it's man, the story of Tribe 9 gets super crazy. It's like Kodaka, and it's like okay. So sure, I might check it out again. But just the first episode that I watched, I was like, this isn't it. So we'll see. I might return to it if I hear really good things about it, about the story and anything, or if I see some gifs that make me go crazy in terms of because of the animation. But yeah, I don't know. Probably won't happen. So these were my nopes. Let's move over to the maybes. John, you have one of those, so why don't you talk for a bit?
Yes, my one maybe, because everything else is, well, we'll talk about what everything else is. My one maybe is Slow Loop.
Mm-hmm.
So Slow Loop is all about this girl, Hiyori, who, when she was young, her father passed of a disease, but he taught her all of the joys of fishing. And, you know, she enjoys going out and fishing on her own, and she's not really much of a people person. But one day she meets this girl Koharu, and Koharu she's sort of this very energetic Genki girl, and she gets instantly very interested in fishing, and the two of them become friends. Koharu talks about how her mother passed when she was young, and the two of them figure out that, hey, we're meeting our step families today. And as it turns out, what a twist. The two of them are now stepsisters. And it's just this story about them bonding over fishing and getting to become, you know, this new family together. And it seems like this really nice, laid back, just slice of life show that I think seems like, you know, just very easygoing. And, you know, I like the whole aspect of building a new family from the remnants of these two other ones, because there's a lot of good chemistry between the characters. There's a lot of, you know, the realistic stuff that you might expect between the parents and the kids, like, you know, not sure if they'll accept one another in trying to get to know each other, and, you know, overcoming the awkwardness that this sort of situation brings. So I think it seems like it'll be at least an enjoyable watch.
Yeah, it sounds like an easygoing thing.
Yeah. And, you know, it's just all about going out on the boat and catching a fish and cooking it up and having a good time. So
sounds like a laid back camp affair.
A little bit, yeah. That's what people were comparing it to, that in some other series, I think, called Our Days at the Breakwater.
Okay,
I think that's what it's called. But yeah, it has that very similar vibe. So I need, among all the other ridiculous stuff that I'm watching, I needed something I could just sit down and be like, yeah, this is
I feel
nice.
That. Some chill anime.
So would recommend checking out. It's cute. It's pretty well animated, you know, for as far as fishing goes, and showing the animations of like casting the lines and whatnot. So it's got the production value.
Nice. I mean, I feel like I can assume one of our keepers is the same. That is also one of the feel-good shows this season, but for different reasons, I guess. So this is more of the relaxomatic Iyashike things that one needs if they need to wind down after a stressful day or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope it will give you soft emotions. Okay. Maybe that's...
I think it has the potential for that.
Cool. All right. Okay, my first maybe is Tokyo 24th Award. It's about 3 childhood friends. Shuta, a wannabe amateur community hero, kind of like Kamen Rider, I guess, only in real life. Ran, a hacker and graffiti street artist, and Koki, the son of the mayor and heir to a big tech company, funding the local police force that can somewhat predict crimes before they happen, at least due to statistics and everything. And those 3 drifted apart after their friend and Koki's sister, Asumi, got killed in a school fire. And when they reconnect during her anniversary memorial, they all get a phone call by someone with Asumi's voice, giving them a vision of their friend Mari getting hit by a train.
Oh.
And the knowledge of the future and enhanced physical and mental abilities they apparently also got from the phone call somehow enabled them to stop the runaway train together. So this is a bit of a mix of Minority Report, a bit of Psycho-Pass, a bit of superhero stuff, mystery box thing. Not a bad mix at all. I like the basic setup, but I'm not completely dialed in yet. For starters, the show is throwing a lot of characters at you at once. Many of them seeming hardly relevant, at least for now. And also the plot already seems way too predictable in a way. Maybe I'm making false assumptions here, but you know, the guys get a phone call that tells them the future. Koki's father is the mayor and also the guy who developed tech that can already kind of predict the future, but the police force in this city, in the ward, the SARG, is still not allowed to be proactive with that information. I'm willing to bet Koki's dad either created an AI modeled after Koki's sister Asumi, or her brain is the core of the new overhauled system that can like 100% predict the future. And he probably wants to force a change in politics that will enable him to use this tech preemptively so that less people die like his daughter, like unnecessarily and stuff like that. Also probably Nanomachine's son, which would kind of explain the superpowers, I guess. Like I said, I might be completely wrong here, but I get the feeling this is how it's going to play out in a way. Will I stick around long enough to find out? I don't know, because I can't predict the future. But yeah, it looks interesting right now. You know, just the constellation of characters and everything, and what it's doing with its gimmick, with its predicting the future gimmick and the flashbacks, and it's neat. So I will stick with it for now. I've only watched the first 2 episodes. I think they're out 4 by now. It was one of the first shows that premiered. We had to wait a while for the last shows that we were interested in to premiere. Mm-hmm. So this has been running for a while, but I've only seen 2 episodes so far. So yeah, we'll see. I might stick with it. Maybe if I see that all the things that I just predicted come true, I will like, oh god damn it. But we'll see. Doesn't have to be a bad thing. Maybe, you know, they pull it off in a good way. So we'll see. It was definitely one of the more interesting shows that I checked out this season. So I'm going to stick with it for now.
That's cool.
The other maybe, and the last maybe on my list, is Sabikui Bisco. After an explosion destroyed most of Tokyo, Japan fell to ruin and is a post-apocalyptic desert wasteland, mostly. Most people are suffering from a disease called rust, which, according to the government, is spread by the terrorists called mushroom keepers, who create the giant mushrooms that ostensibly spread the disease. And there's a young doctor called Milo, who seems to think that he can actually create a cure for rust with the help of the mushrooms. And he's personally motivated due to his big sister suffering from this disease. And as fate wills it, he runs into one of the most infamous, prolific of the terrorists, Akaboshi Bisco, the man-eater. And shenanigans ensue. Yeah, there's a really good-looking, colorful show with tight action scenes and interesting environments and character designs. Bisco rides a giant crab. Giant enemy crab. There are snail planes and hippos with machine guns mounted on their backs. It's wacky. The first 2 episodes are jumping back and forth between current time and flashbacks, so it's a bit disorienting, but I think things will move forward more chronologically, starting with episode 3. think they mixed that up to have it be a bit more action heavy in the first 2 episodes. Yeah, looks like a fun post-apocalyptic fantasy action romp right now. I'm here for it. Don't know if it will keep the promise from its first 2 episodes, but I'm willing to find out for now. Also, it has Kenjiro Tsuda as a very shady governor, so that's a plus. Yeah, I dig it. I think it could be a cool, weird, wacky action thing, a bit Mad Max styled, but also, giant mushrooms and animals that are places they shouldn't be. And the size they should be. So yeah, it's a neat thing. I'm looking forward to seeing more. All right, that's it for the maybes, I guess. On towards the keepers. John, we probably have the same keepers, is my assumption. So why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so pretty much everything that's quote unquote new for my keepers is just returning stuff.
Same for me.
So why not start off with Princess Connect Redive Season 2?
Yes, let's do that.
It's more Princess Connect, and it's just as goofy and silly as the first season set out to be. As far as I can tell what they're doing with the story, though, it seems like they're focusing on, like, the guild and character side stories more than they are the main story, because maybe they can knock out the main story quicker than the rest of the stuff. But boy, if everyone was there in the intro sequence to the first season, everyone is actually for reals here in the intro sequence for the second season, with maybe the exception of 2 or 3 second-year characters from the Japanese version of the game. But they did exactly what I was hoping for. I didn't talk with you about this yet, but the way they chose to use the back half of the song, the way FGO Babylon did with its intro song.
Yes.
So I was like, when someone on Twitter was like, oh yeah, they're reusing Lost Princess. I was like, well, that's kind of a bummer. Wait, hold on. They can do something cool with that, though. Mm-hmm. And they did exactly what I was hoping for. So I like that they're continuing to do what they did with the first one and having these individual stories. So it's like you don't have to remember 80 characters' names all at once because the game has a lot of characters.
I would assume so. And the first season already had a bunch of characters.
But everything is in isolation, so it doesn't feel overwhelming. And I think that's a good choice.
Yes. The focus is still mainly on our 4 guys and girls. Yes. Mostly girls. So...
Because, I mean, I know I said this about Azure Lane when it aired, but boy, someone on the production committee was like, everyone has to be in here. Everyone.
We need to sell more shit.
And it really dragged the show down.
Yeah.
But they're doing it. Cygames has a better idea of how to handle their IP than I think Yostar does.
I mean, as they should. It's their IP.
But Azure Lane is Yostar's IP, so...
Yeah, I guess, yeah. But I guess Cygames in general, they have already, even when they license their shit out, I feel like they try to be involved maybe in a way, or they try to keep a certain level of quality, at least for some of the stuff that I watched that they are related to, because it's their fucking IP.
Between Grand Blue, Princess Connect, Uma Musume, and the very often forgotten World Flipper.
Don't forget Rage of Bahamut.
And Shadowverse. They had enough money to basically open their own animation studio and said, we're going to do it ourselves.
Yes, and I'm glad they did. And man, I had forgotten how gosh darn beautiful this fucking show is.
It has no right to be because it's just a gacha game.
It's so pretty and colorful. It's like a cozy, warm rainbow that gets blasted directly in your fucking eyes. It's wonderful.
Like as a longtime bystander on the sidelines before the game ever got localized, seeing it get this incredible treatment is like, yeah, no, this feels good. This feels right.
And for anyone who's like, man, yeah, but isn't it just just throwing new girls at you and then funny things and eating stuff. Just, yeah, but also the battles look as awesome as ever. So if you want your action, the show's got that covered too. And that's how it was in season 1, and it's the same in season 2. Speaking of season 1, I don't remember anything from season 1 in terms of actual plot. I might have to revisit at least the plot relevant episodes of that, because I know there was some good character development for, our main character, for Picorine. So I remember that story fondly. I just don't remember what that story was. So that doesn't mean that it was bad or anything. So it's just we're watching a lot of anime, and I sometimes have problems remembering some of the stuff that we watched. That's just on my old man brain these days. So, but you know what I remembered, and what I clapped for, what I clapped and hollered for when it came back on the screen? My derpy wolf boys. They are back. I missed them. I'm so happy to see them again.
Yuki trusting the wolves.
Why?
What a mistake.
Yes, why would he? He had no reason to. I mean, he's a very trusting person. He's a very good, genuine guy that is very simple. But, that simple in a good way. He's a very sympathetic, trusting person. But in this world, that kind of bites him in the ass a lot. And the girls have to look out for him and protect him, because he's just so goddamn innocent. But I love when they start just talking for some reason. Yes.
Yeah, well, that was so weird.
Good stuff. Princess Connect is a lot of fucking fun, and it's feel good everywhere. And the
return of 10 out of 10 reaction faces.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, so many of them. I like that. I've only watched the first episode, which I liked a lot. Although, gotta say, the old man in that first episode looks almost exactly like King Hyrule in Breath of the Wild. And there's a musical sting in the first episode that sounds exactly like one of the main stings in Breath of the Wild as well. I don't want to throw accusations, but you know just saying.
Maybe Kanasaki is just throwing something in there that he thought was funny. I don't know.
Maybe. But yeah, good times. I very much enjoyed that first episode. I was like, before I watched it, I was like, man, I don't remember really a lot about Princess Connect. Did I really like the show as much as I remember liking it? And then I watched the first episode and was like, yeah, I did. So there you go. I'm, judging from the source material, you wouldn't think that this was such an enjoyable show, but it goddamn is. And I mean, part of that is that the person responsible for that kind is the same person who is responsible for Konosuba. So that, right? That yes. makes a lot of, probably makes a difference here. So
same director, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, he knows his the comedic timing on stuff like that and how it's supposed to hit, and that is very important in a comedy show like that. And then you get the great visuals as well. Production values are fantastic in this show. So hey, if you want a light, fluffy, breezy thing, you can't go one with Princess Connect. Redive, is it that? Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. So, but watch the first season first, because I remember that to being actually surprisingly good character development for at least 2 of the characters, I think. So, I'm probably gonna revisit that maybe before I keep on watching season 2, because I remember liking the backstory of Picorine a lot. So, all right, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, John, what is the next keeper on the list?
The case study of Vanitas.
Of course.
And as I put in my notes, more horny vampires.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Also, only watched the first episode of that for now. The new OP set in winter? The season itself as well, apparently?
Magical winter, yes.
Yes.
We kind of pick up exactly where we left off, where Vanitas, Noe, Dante, and all of them are heading up north to pursue the beast of Gévaudan.
Mm-hmm.
And because Vanitas has his suspicions that the beast might be a curse-bearing vampire.
Yes.
And things happen. And yes, winter is involved. And there's other shenanigans involved. Since you haven't gotten past the first episode, I don't want to really say.
That's nice.
But yes, we just jumped right back into it, and Bones are firing on all cylinders with
Oh
the
boy, do they
animation
ever.
production.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to see what, because we kind of know certain things from the episode. I haven't watched the latest episode, but from where I'd gotten to so far, it's like, yeah, things are piecing together, but I still want to see. I'm still interested to see what that all comes together and means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same. I mean, of course, there's a setup in the first episode that's like, oh, interesting, and we'll see how that is followed up. And yeah, like you said, Bones again, just fucking uh, coming at us strong yet again. And yeah, all the characters are just still so damn fun. Just the moment alone in the first episode when Vanitas just encounters Astolfo and is so happy that he's able to push his buttons because he can't with Roland in front of I forgot what they called, the church knights, whatever.
Oh, the chasseurs.
The chasseurs, yeah, that he can finally says so easy.
Yeah,
just manipulate the shit out of him.
Astolfo has a very short fuse.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yeah, then Charlatan arrives and the background turns into a fucking Van Gogh painting and everything goes fuck nuts. And yeah, I loved it. And I can't wait to watch more Vanitas. So
big thing.
Yeah. Good fucking show. John, what is the next and final keeper, I guess, if we don't count the continuing shows, which there are a bunch of, but usually we don't mention those because,
Attack on Titan. It's Attack on Titan. This time it's actually for real the final. We're not joking around this time.
Yeah, the final season.
I still, man, the balls in the first go around say, oh, it's the final season. Wait, just kidding.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't change it. They didn't final season part 2, so it's just called again the final season. So it's like, yeah, it was just a split core. So whatever. It feels like we didn't intend to, but we had to. And I mean, it's noticeable that quite a lot of time has passed since the first go around at the final season, because I feel like they took their time to put as much work into this as they could have.
It's immediately noticeable how hard they triple A'd this. Even the CG.
Yes,
the CG
especially the CG. Especially
wildly
the CG.
Spot on.
Yes, it's ridiculous. I watched that first episode and was like, wait, was the CG that good in the first final thing?
No.
I don't remember. I remember it to be very spotty in a lot of parts, but this looks fucking amazing. There's new shading on the Titans, and they move much more fluidly, and there's much better direction when it comes to the camera angles and everything that covers up the weak spots and the animation routines. It looks so much better. It looks ridiculously good, and I wonder if they can keep up that level of quality. I hope it doesn't just go down in the last couple of episodes or something because they ran out of time or something. But that first one, holy shit. Yeah, I great. And we can't really say anything about the story because that's spoiler territory, even more so than the previous times we talked about Attack on Titan in the sneak peek, because this is just gearing up to wrap up. And yeah.
I will say one thing that a friend of ours said to me that was completely out of context, in that it will make your head spin.
Okay. I don't know what to take from that.
You'll understand.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. The new OP is titled The Rumbling and it's pretty damn cool. So I like that. And yeah, there are already a bunch of interesting story beats happening, and this definitely feels like, hey, this is it. This is actually the finale. This is the end of the story, and this is what everything has been leading up to. So, I am so anxious, John. I am trying to be optimistic, especially regarding what Aaron's plan might actually turn out to be. We'll see.
You'll find out.
Yeah. So I'll try my best. I'm gonna try to catch up with that show tomorrow. Same for Vanitas, and then we'll see what I think of that. But yeah, the assault on the city in the first episode is brutal, and it's just you're right in it. And there are already some neat character moments in it that I really enjoyed and that I've been waiting for a while. And especially, the first part of the final season was like, God damn, I hope this happens and this happens. And it did. So, yeah, and some neat surprises. And like I said, I'm super anxious. I want this to finish strong. I want this to be a series for the ages. I want this to be one of my go-to best anime of all time that I will watch over and over again. And I don't want it to fucking crash and burn. I want it to stick the landing. I really hope Mappa will be able to do it. I haven't read the manga. I hope the author did the thing and ended it in a good way. I can't tell yet. I don't know. And so let's all hope. Let's pray. I don't fucking know what you want to do. Send your wishes to the center of the universe. But yeah. Let's hope Attack on Titan ends as strong as it started, or stronger. I mean, it was stronger than it started in the middle there. So, yeah, we'll see. And I guess that's it for our keepers, right, John?
Yeah, I think so. Though, I guess the one show I didn't check out that I guess has apparently taken people by storm, and apparently all of the fan artists, because you can't turn around without seeing art of one character in particular, is My Dress Up Darling. It's about this guy and this girl, and it revolves around cosplay and just like fashion in general. And the main girl, Marin, just there's art of her everywhere.
Okay. Well,
but I mean, I guess it's good. People like it. I just didn't check it out, but I felt like it at least bore mention. So, because it's one of the bigger, more popular shows this season.
Yes, I don't want to be dismissive, but that accumulation of topics sounds like something I wouldn't be remotely interested in. So
maybe at any other time I might, but
yeah, maybe.
I want my
energy is low.
I would like my rom-coms to be more pointed. You know what I mean?
Yes, I get it. And I'm glad that everyone is enjoying it. I hope for the right reasons. And yeah, so we'll see what turns out to be the most memorable anime of this season. I probably assume, for good or worse, it's going to be Attack on Titan. For good or bad. We will see. Anyway, let's move over to our first and almost only review for fall 2021, and that is Sakugan.
Yeah, so we get kind of a lighter review season. I think we did, was it last summer as well? That's just how the cards fell.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I think we never had a season where we only really did 2 reviews. I mean, we're going to have some quick reviews in the season finale, but I think the lowest number of actual review episodes we had were like 3. But yeah, but like I said, we're gonna have 3 episodes. It's just one's gonna be without reviews, and yeah, you will see what comes down the pipeline next. I mean, like I said, you probably can already guess, because we're gonna try to make this an annual installment just due to the occasion. But yeah, otherwise we're gonna review one show. Do a big review of the show. It's the season finale, which, full disclosure, only I have fully watched. I think, John, you have watched like 6 episodes or something, you said?
I don't think I even watched that many.
See, there you go. So, there's that. But, yeah, we have a bunch of shows left from the previous season that are still running that either I or both of us are going to review. So there's that, and JoJo's is going to run for a while, and then we have the shows that will wrap up.
I haven't even started JoJo's.
Yeah, so there you go. So we'll probably have a bunch of reviews in the next season, but this one is going to be on the shorter side. But we have one for you that both of us watched, and I think both of us liked.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
So Sakugan.
Mm-hmm.
What's it about? In the distant future, long after the Western calendar is no longer used, humans live shoulder to shoulder, cramped in the labyrinth, an underground world deep below the surface. The place is known for extreme high temperatures, but also for loads of gold, silver, and other riches. In one of the colonies named Pinyin, a curious 9-year-old girl named Memempu and her father Gagumber board a two-person work robot and mine for ore. They eke out a living as the lowest of the lowest worker occupations. One day, Memempu begs her father to set out as markers, those who chart the inners of the labyrinth as a spelunker, to search for her mother who left their home. A marker is the most dangerous, but also the most lucrative job. Gagumber decides he cannot hold back the ever-curious Memempu from going off on her own countless times and finally gives in. The two embark on a journey together in their work robot, Big Tony. So, this is the latest by our friends at Satellite, who you've heard us talk about them a few times before, in particular with Symphogear and Macross Delta, but they also have a long history of their own work as well. And this is just, I believe it's their own latest, or their own original work. I couldn't find it being tied to something else, but I just remember I didn't put it in my notes because I'm dumb, but I just remembered this gives us an opportunity to talk about Tomas Roman's Studio No Border again, because they did the mech designs for this show.
And the mech designs are neat.
Yeah.
Very more of a functional thing, I guess, in terms of how the robots look. They're not super stylized like Gundams or anything. They look more like actual working machines.
They're definitely more practical.
Yeah, and some of, the later ones look more like fighting machines more than actually, like human-styled robots or stuff like that. I mean, they look human-esque, because they're bipedal, but also, the worker mechs have like Big Tony and the one of Yuri have like vehicle modes. It reminded me a bit of the ones in Xenoblade Chronicles X. And I always like that. I think that's always cool, transforming mechs, sure. And they have like drills and they have a grappling hook and shit like that. And but they are very striking designs. And I like Big Tony. I think that it's a really neat, unique, cool mech design. Looks like a bit like a big brother to the Mets from Mega Man, I guess.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah. So.
And now, if they decide to color it yellow, then I would say, 100%.
Yes, absolutely. It's a cool design. It's fun, and it's all of these mechs can or are being controlled by two people, I guess.
Yeah, as far as they showed that it looks like it can be controlled by one person. Sometimes there's a co-pilot, and you can switch the controls back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they also tried to go out of their way to show that there's different designs and different ways of manipulating them. So
yes, and that thing with the controls becomes problematic when Memempu locks out Gagumber. Because she wants to do things her own way, which is kind of her I guess MO. And also the mech's CG looks pretty damn good, which I was happy to see. I didn't really have anything to complain. It's animated very fluidly, and we get some really well-directed action scenes, which, of course, I would have expected from Satellite. I don't know. Who's the director of this?
It was Junichi Wada, who has directed some other stuff like Caligula, which we talked about on this show. Stuff like The Disappearance of Yuki Nagato, and I think you may have mentioned World End at some point.
Yeah, that was also a pretty good-looking show. So,
we've got writers on the show that worked on other stuff we've talked about, like Somali and the Forest Spirit, Copcraft, Kuroko's Basketball, Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, and some other good stuff in there too. So
I feel like Somali and the Forest Spirit is the most... Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because both are like these father-daughter stories. Even though they come from completely different angles, the Somali is very much attached to her father figure, like the golem in Somali and the Forest Spirit, while Memempu and Gagamba couldn't be more at odds with each other. Which is kind of like the main drive of the show from the beginning, which almost put me off. When you first encounter them, it's just like Memempu does what she apparently did many times before. She tries to get away and get out of the colony that she and her father live in, and tries to make it as a marker, which are these people going into the mechs and basically charting the uncharted territory outside in the labyrinth of the caves that surround each colony. And that's what she wants to do. She wants to basically travel to a place that she has seen many times in her dreams, or since she can remember. And she has drawn it, and she wants to go there, and she has a feeling she knows where it is. And then in the first episode she gets a definitive clue. So she wants to go there, and Gagamber couldn't be less thrilled because he feels like his daughter is way too young, which makes sense. She's fucking 9.
But she went to college.
That's true. Yes, she apparently already finished college at the age of 9.
Insert that clip of Plankton from SpongeBob. I went to college.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, she's super smart. She is, a good tactician. She can build, her own tech shit and stuff like that. She's super smart. That's one of her catchphrases. She says always, "Kashkoi, I'm a smarty" or something like that. Yeah, that's a thing. So she feels like there's more for her outside in this world, and Gagamba kind of wants her to stay home, protect her, be his little daughter and everything, and she's not okay with that. So they are at odds with each other, and that's kind of the main drive of the show. And like I said in the beginning, you see them just bickering with each other constantly, and that's how the show opens. It's just like them yelling at each other all the time. And then I was like, is the whole show gonna be like that? I get what they're doing, but can get grating. I was happy to find out they toned that down very much in the later episode. They still yell at each other and they take jabs at each other, but it's not, the constant fucking screeching and yelling at each other. And it's very, very funny in certain parts, like the things they say. The Gagamba going from, you do what I tell you to do because I'm your father, and then she just do it, and he's like, pretty please. It's like going back and forth, just begging. What if I beg? What if I kneel down? She's trying everything and just running with against the wall with his head. So they have a fun dynamic, and then you add to that the later characters that get thrown into the mix, and you got some good back and forth between all the different parties, and so I like that. John, what did you think about the general character relationship and our two main characters?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. At first, it was kind of like, but I felt like they kind of, in the first episode, were like, hey, this isn't what this is going to be, because Gagumber was talking with one of the markers, Walsh, and they talk a little bit about Gagumber's past as Gale Force Gagumber. Mm-hmm. In how fatherhood kind of made him mellow out. But Walsh is talking about, he's a marker with his daughter, Linda. And he says, that, fatherhood is tough, but you have to trust your kids. And Gagumber is drunk as a skunk, and he's like, yeah, you're right, but... Mm-hmm. So I feel like they kind of try to establish that, even though I don't want to say that's like your typical father-daughter thing, but that's gonna be in there.
Yes, absolutely. And they throw some interesting things into the mix, especially when it comes to Gagumber's background and his past, and what actually is the meaning of the dreams that Memempu has, without giving anything away, right? They go into that in the later parts of the show, and that's interesting. And all of the stuff that you see beforehand then starts to make sense, especially in regards to how Gagumber is behaving in a certain way. I felt like they pulled that off pretty well, and they didn't try to make this relationship one note and just be this, lazy deadbeat dad who has a heart of gold and really cares for his daughter, and on the other side, this super smart girl that just wants to strike it out on her own and doesn't see that her father really cares for her and just, is so hung up on her own dreams and ambitions. It's not just that. It's the biggest part, maybe, them trying to see eye to eye at a certain point and understand each other. That's their main character development of this first season anyway. And that might change in the later ones. But, there are some twists thrown in there, some interesting wrinkles that kept me going. And they take their time. They take their time to build that up. Also with the other characters that they throw in, like fucking Zacletu. Zacletu is her name. The names in the show.
Yeah,
they gotta say...
Going through my notes when I was writing them during each episode, I trying not to typo all of the names was like, there's maybe a small handful of names. I was like, okay, I can spell this on the first try.
It's weird. You got stuff like Memempu, Gagambar, you got Zakletu, you got, what is the bureau guy called? Miroro.
Yeah. And
then you got a totally normal name like Yuri, and you're like, what? What is that doing here? One is not like the others. So that's fun. But yeah, also, I didn't quite, maybe my understanding of Japanese language is not subtle enough, but apparently Memempu is intentionally mispronouncing Gagambar's name and is saying Gagamba all the time. But it completely sounds the same to me, like the way she says it, the way he says it, the way other character says it, it all sounds like Gagamba. And that's it. It's like, what are you so hung up about? It sounds exactly the same. So, I don't know. That was a bit weird to me.
I don't know, maybe because you're saying it ba as opposed to ba, like hanging on it the way you're supposed to.
Maybe. I don't know. It sounded exactly the same to me. But yeah, they take their time with this story. That's one of the things I also wanted to mention, which might be a negative for some people. So this is only 12 episodes, and most of this first season, and we haven't gotten a confirmation yet if we get a second season, which, judging by the ending, that would be a tragedy if we didn't get one, because this season's the story is completely unfinished. Just throwing that out there.
They also did a weird thing where they put up to be continued on the final episode, and then we're like, haha, JK though. So, like, you can't, which is it?
No, I think it's it was super weird. They do like the end, then they throw in to be continued, and then throw the not on the end. So it's supposed to be, it's not the end, it's to be continued. But the way they throw it on the screen, it looks super confusing. It looks like you said, like they say, no, it's not going to be continued. But they are throwing the not on the end. So I think it's supposed to mean that, this is not over. We're going to continue with this. So I don't know why they did it that way. Just put a fucking to be continued on there, you smart asses, and just leave it be. This way it was highly confusing. Maybe they wanted to express that they themselves didn't know if they were able to continue it. I don't. That might be the case. Maybe the jury is still out on that. Maybe even they don't know if they make another season of that. If they don't, that would be really, bad. Actually, that would actually be bad because, like I said, we got a lot of interesting setups in this first season, but the story just is getting started. Like, the main antagonists of this show come in. They get foreshadowed at the beginning, but they really only come in like episode 10 of 12.
Yeah.
And then they only really do something in the last episode, like something with consequences, and that actually reveals some of the stuff that, is relevant to our main characters, like, and answers some of the questions.
It's so unfortunate because we got like basically Zach Ledoux and Yuri's full arcs.
Yeah, kind of.
What about Gagumber in Memempu and others?
Yeah, maybe. I assume we're gonna get some bigger stuff with Miroro as well.
Yeah, I want to know more about him too.
Yeah, there's some foreshadowing where it's like, I'm separated right now from my wife, but I intend to go back and miss my child. And so it's like, let's see what that's relating to. Also, he might become the secret bad guy by the end, considering his, what he wants to do. and what his
I
ideal
wonder
is and
about that.
everything. Yeah. So I don't know. It feels like we might have a clash between these characters in the end. And when you first see him, you also don't know what he's about because he's kind of like the government guy who seems to just be there to throw obstacles in the way of Memempu and Gagamba. But actually, it turns out later that he's kind of looking out for them and protecting them in a way. So that is neat, but I wonder if it will stay that way. He and Gagamba have an interesting dynamic because they kind of hate each other's guts, but they both care for Memempu. And that makes it interesting, and they kind of learn stuff from each other, especially Gagamba learns stuff from Meroro. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, all of that has not been finished, and especially not our main story. Like we just in the 12th episode, we learned something very important about Memempu. We learned something very important about Gagamba, I guess. He got a bit of more character development in the middle of the season, and that relates to some of the stuff from his past and everything, which I don't want to go away. That also relates to a kind of big twist for one of the other characters, which was kind of heavily foreshadowed, I gotta say. If you paid attention several times in many different ways. And when it happened, I was still like, oh, right. Yeah, sure. I should have seen this coming. I so should have seen this coming. I was surprised for like a second. I was like, yeah, of course. Yes, that makes total sense.
Right.
So,
and I forgot there's one thing they didn't ever like clear up a misunderstanding between Gagumber and Memempu. So like that's still out there.
Yeah, maybe that will, happen in the second season. Or I just forgot about it. Pulled a Toriyama, who knows. But this first season is mostly just, first we get the setup with the world building, everything. We learn about the colonies. We learn about what is happening in this world. We learn about our two main characters, about Gagamba and about Memempu. Then they set out on a journey. There's a lot of shit happening in episode 1. There's like where you're already like, oh, fuck. This is not the show I expected it to be. So shit gets real in this show surprisingly often, where you're like, oh, you're in this, I don't know, cozy nonsense feeling where the characters are just having jokey things, happening, and it's just wacky hijinks everywhere. All the characters are doing goofy stuff, and then boom, with the flip of a switch, shit gets very serious, and it's kind of a bit of whiplash sometimes.
Yeah, that first episode is like, hey, kaiju, though.
Yeah, dangerous kaiju who are connected to the ground with weird bioorganic wires or something.
Yeah,
cables. I wonder when we will learn more about that. I assume they're just bioweapons constructed by the planet or something like that to, destroy the dangerous humans with their colonies. Who knows?
Maybe.
It's my assumption anyway. Yeah, it's my assumption now anyway. And the colonies themselves are also really interesting because it seems like whatever happened to our world made stuff from the top like sink to the ground, because we got a bunch of landmarks from our world in the underground. Like I think the second colony they go to seems to be under Italy.
Maybe.
There's the Colosseum. There's the Tower of Pisa. But
I
also
didn't even pick up on that.
Yes. And then the weird thing is, in a later colony they visit, there's the Statue of Liberty, I think. So this can't be all Europe where they're stationed. Maybe some of the stuff was transported there from different places. I don't know, when the Marcus discovered it somewhere or stuff like that. Who knows?
Could be the case.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't think the show doesn't make it feel like they traveled enough of a distance to get from Italy to the fucking United States. So even if it was underground, maybe, I don't know, but that seems like a long trip.
I mean, there's that one episode where they're road tripping for a while.
That's true. Yeah, and I think the colony they visit after that is the one where that is the U.S. colony. So maybe they, just stuff from the top just sunk to the ground.
Could
but
be. It's unclear.
Yeah, it's interesting. And Meroro kind of wants to keep the stuff, the antique stuff, the historical stuff from ancient times. Wants to save that. Wants to protect that. Wants that not to fade away or disappear or die. There's this one episode where they're trying to protect like this biotope or whatever it is, a field of trees and stuff like that. That is very important to him. He's kind of a biology history nut, a fucking nerd. And so is Memempu, and they connect over it. But Gagamba says like, yeah, you're just a bunch of fucking nerds. And
I mean, Memororo is apparently all about preservation.
Yeah. So that's the thing I said when I was like, maybe that will make him clash with later things. Because as much as the later antagonists, what are they called, Shibito?
Yes.
Shibito, yeah. They, as much as they seem to be the like clear-cut villains right now, I get a feeling they have a point with what they're doing. There's a reason for why they're doing that. That is not as misguided as one might think right now. Their methods probably are, but there is probably a reason behind all of it why they're doing it. So, yeah. So I feel like maybe we get something in that regard. Where it's like if Mirror wants to keep the old ways and all the old technology and everything alive, that might actually go against something that later Memempu might want to do. Especially since the show is all about, striking on your own, doing new stuff, discovering new stuff, finding your own way and everything. If that is the message, maybe not to cling to old stuff too much, then that might be a problem later on. We'll see. So there might be a fight with the bureau later on, or whatever it's called. What are they called? The stuff that Miroro is working for. I forgot. The government, I guess, faction. Again, there's enough interesting stuff in the happening in the show. Sometimes it might feel like it treads water a bit, like it's meandering a bit, but most of it is just serving the character development. Like you said, John, there's this one episode where they have like this big road trip, and that ostensibly seems like this is just a weird, nonsensical filler side episodes where they all get high on a red flower or something. But that also, causes Memempu to have more vivid nightmares and sees visions of certain things more clearly that she hadn't seen before. And then we have some foreshadowing about what Zakletu is about, and we see some more stuff in relation to what Gagamba is all about and everything. So every time you feel like, oh no, this is just an episode where they're gonna waste some time, they either introduce a new character or they develop some of the characters. And I like that. I felt like, yeah, this felt like a more not really plot-heavy show in this first season. Like it was more interested in its characters than the actual story. But that I guess was mostly fine with me. How about you?
Yeah, this season was definitely in service of the characters and the world for certain.
Yes, a lot of world building, yeah.
One of my favorite things that I don't know if you picked up on, when they talk about money, they don't ever name the currency.
That is true.
Zakletu is out for compensation. How much? $1 million. $1 million what? Shut up. $1 million.
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, there's probably a common. They have like these gems they dig up, right?
Yeah.
So whatever that is probably also part of the currency. I don't fucking know. And they get wages apparently. So
it's gotta be. So
yeah, I don't know if there's different currencies in different colonies because they're based on different cultures and everything from the old world. Interesting. But yeah, I didn't pay attention to that. But yeah, now that you're saying it, I don't feel like they ever mentioned any real currency name.
Yeah, I tried to keep an ear out for that to see if they ever named it, and they never do. Because Zakletu has this bounty on her head, but she's out to get money for this job that she pulled at one point, and they just keep talking about it, and it's like, you guys are dancing around this pretty well.
I like the humor in the show mostly. The constant back and forth can get a bit grating, but there's not too much in it. And there's some really funny jabs, when some of the characters gets put down. I felt like when Gagamba tries to go and hit on women once they reach that first outside colony, where he just always fucking uses the same bad line to hit on them, do you know why God created men and women? It's like,
Listen,
and all
it's
the
gotta work eventually, right?
the reactions of all the women is so priceless. And just, Jesus, are you serious? You're disgusting. Everyone is just put off, and it's hilarious. And he's like, 12 times rejected. My gears are warming up now. It's like, dude, what are you? That confidence, holy shit. I like that.
You gotta be your own hype man.
Why did Yuri stick around? Why did he join the group? I kind of missed that. I didn't really understand why he joined the group later on.
As far as I could tell, he just was hype off of Memempu's hype.
Oh, right. Yeah, maybe it was just that. I was like, wait, did they ever say why he really was? I mean, he had his team and everything, but apparently he wanted more than that. And he's an easily young, impressionable man. So he's a super good hacker, but he's not the smartest of the bunch. Not at all.
No.
Sometimes I wouldn't call him dumb, but he's definitely not world savvy or anything. I feel like sometimes he feels more dumb than Gagamba, so that's a feat. I liked all of the characters. I don't know if I have any favorite. I feel like each of them has their moments. The strongest one, due to one reason or another, of course, because their own main characters are Gagamba and Memempu, of course. But Zacleto also has some really good, strong moments, especially in a certain episode. That makes sense. Which was fun because they that part, they could have dragged out that thing, and it gets really like wrapped up quickly with that episode for now anyway. I was like, oh, that's weird. And then they remark actually on that. Memempu was like, wait, you're just okay now? What's happening here? I was like, oh, they know that this is weird, that it just happens. So, and they discuss it a bit in the show. It's like, wait, what? Why are you now okay with each other? What's happening? She's really weirded out by that because she's a kid. But Memempu, I can tell you, as an adult, I said I was also weirded out by that because like you just still go from point A to B, I guess. But
yeah, 100%. When that happened, I was like, we're done. That's it. And then she steps in and says, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, smart girl. Thank you, smart 9-year-old girl. Thank you for bringing that up. But yeah, I enjoyed pretty much all of the character beats in this show. And
I kind of feel like I saw Zacletu's story coming from a mile away after a certain story aspect, but I was like, you know what? I was like, that's fine. That's okay.
That's fine. And they executed it well. It wasn't too dragged out like they made this like this big mystery. Who is she and everything. For when does the big twist come? Episode 7 or something like that, or 8? I'm not sure. So, and she gets introduced in episode 4, I think. So it comes pretty quickly. So it's not that big of a thing. And even though if you already know who she is and everything and what her deal is, that they don't keep you guessing for too long. So I appreciated that. And they could also, in regards to Memempo, they could have made her like this, hey, little lady is always right, and she's a smart one, and she shows everyone, what the real deal is and everything, and they don't do that. Like, Memempo is smart and headstrong, but she gets a bit of tunnel vision when it comes to her goals. So she has to learn that theory will only get her so far, and even if she's used to doing everything by herself, there are some situations where she can actually rely on her deadbeat dad and the others that join the group and everything. So I like that. And Gagama has to learn herself, right? Because he's used to being the protective father who is doing everything and is throwing himself into danger all the time. But with that comes the risk of him dying, and that would make Memempo even more sad. And he has to acknowledge that his life is not worthless, which he thinks for several reasons. Like, says several times, I have no dreams because, I couldn't fulfill them anyway, and my dreams have been killed before and shit like that. So that's why he is the way he is. But he needs to learn that is not the most important thing. And they lay some solid groundwork for that in the first episode, and then they extend on that in the coming ones. So that's good. What we haven't mentioned yet, John, what we, of course, always need to mention and should mention is the soundtrack in the show is fucking great.
Yeah, it is. It was handled by
Why is it so great?
It was handled by our boy Tatsuya Kato.
Yes!
We've talked about several times.
Yes!
You should listen to his music from Free and Food Wars and Love Live Sunshine, because it's all good. It's all great. So coming into the first episode with this incredible music, I was like, wait, who did this? And I was like, okay, this is going to, musically, the show is going to be hot.
Yes, we got some great general soundtrack, but also some fantastic insert songs. We have a fantastic OP and ED, which I really love, both of them. I think they're fantastic. I just said fantastic 3 times in a row. Fuck my vocabulary, I guess. Anyway, but yeah, so the soundtrack is definitely one of the high points of this show.
Man, Masaki Endo came in hot with the opening song. Oof.
Yes, very good. And the ED also has a great, I don't know, nostalgic feel to it and everything. I liked it.
It's cute.
Yes. Shine is a good song. And
I like that everything that's going on in the ending sequence is in beat with the music. I always appreciate that.
Yes, so do I. So do I, in fight scenes and in general. Music is fantastic. And so the production values in general in this show are really good. I think in terms of satellite shows we've seen, this is definitely one of the high points. I mean, Macross looks really good. Symphogear, when it fired on all cylinders, it fired on all cylinders and then some. But this is one of the really best, consistently good-looking shows I've seen from Satellite, I feel like. Sharp character models, good animation, good fight scenes, really good CG. And yeah, I didn't have anything to complain in terms of production values, in terms of art, whatever, music. I don't know. Does anything come up for you where you were like, okay, this could have been done better, or they could have put a bit more money into that?
I don't think anything really jumps out at me in my mind. I thought they kept it, pretty consistent throughout, and that's what I value above anything else is keep your production consistent.
Yeah.
If you can do that, you can keep me happy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Same for me. And yeah, there's some good character development bits in the show, like I said, and some neat story setups. We just don't know where it will go yet. If it will go anywhere. Because, like I said, we don't have a confirmation for season 2 yet. That worries me a bit.
An absolute crime.
Yes.
If this show doesn't get a second season.
Yes. I want to keep on watching this. It needs at least I think maybe the way the story is structured right now, they probably would be able to wrap it up with another season if they don't spend too much time on training ground with the other characters. But I feel like now they have set them up enough to just now concentrate on the main plot and everything, and then develop the characters through that, through telling that story. So we'll see what happens there if we get another season. I hope we do.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. I want to see these characters again. I think Yuri is fun. Zagletu is fun. She uses a lot of Fujiko Mina energy.
I couldn't put my finger on it until you just said it. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yes. And of course, Gagama and Memempo are a fun team. And pretty sure that we will have more fun with them if we get another season. And yeah, that's, I feel like, pretty much all we can say about the show. There was one of the small bits that stuck out to me. At one point in the show, we have a character that whose name is Rufus, and another character that is named Zack. And I was like, did someone here play Final Fantasy VII?
No,
what is
shut
happening?
up. Don't worry about
it. So I wondered. And I was like, these names together. What is going on here? You sneaky bastards. Anyway.
Well, I mean, it's like somebody from the very start that worked on the teams for the Final Fantasy games was definitely a fan of Star Wars, because there's always been a Biggs and Wedge. Always.
Yeah, it's true. So, I don't know, maybe someone on the production team of Sakugan played Final Fantasy VII. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, It's a fun little show for now that is wholly unfinished. So our recommendation comes with a caveat. If you want to check it out, then you can watch it on, John. Where can people watch it?
It seems like it's pretty much globally on Crunchyroll and Verve, so...
Well, that makes it simple.
Yeah.
Go get Crunchyroll, I guess, and watch it there. And or Verve. I don't even know if we have Verve here, but we have Crunchyroll, so it's there.
Yeah, I don't know how global Verve is, but I know they have like a publishing partnership with Crunchyroll, so...
But yeah, definitely watch it. If you are not afraid, as I am right now, that the story will never be finished.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah, but there's enough in this first season that makes it, watchable. It just would be, that gives is reason enough to watch it and is, worth watching even without it being finished because, there are enough fun moments, riveting moments, and there are good action and neat story bits that make it fun even without having seen the rest of the story. But of course, it's always sad if you have an unfinished story lying around that you started watching and then that never gets finished. So let's hope we will get that. So keep that in mind if you plan to watch it, if you would check it out. It's a really fun show, so we recommend it, but be aware that it's not finished right now, and we haven't gotten a confirmation at the point of this recording that we will get a second season. So
that was my issue with God, what was it? Seraph at the end. We got two pretty good seasons,
yeah, I remember.
And then it's been dead, at least in anime form.
It's true, and I liked what we got from that anime. I thought it was well animated. The soundtrack was kick-ass because it was...
Of course, it was your boy Sawano.
Yeah, it was Sawano, my main man. But maybe, we have had it before that anime that went on break for a long time came back when the manga was finished. So who knows?
That's true.
I don't know if Seraph is finished. I don't know if it's still running. I have looked it up in a while. I feel like I might check out the rest of the story in manga form because there was enough interesting stuff in there. It was just really be nice to have it in anime form because especially that second season was really well animated. And if the same studio...
Apparently the manga is still going, so there you go.
So there you go. Then they might wait until it's finished and then try to wrap it up or when it's in its final stages. I don't know who did the show of A1, right?
Wit Studio.
Wit Studio. Oh no, Wit did it
was
right.
Wit Studio.
Yes, it was Wit. And it feels like they have gone away from doing the seasonal thing after they've been burnt out so much by Attack on Titan. So
yeah.
They're doing Osama ranking right now, which I love. So glad that they're doing that. Although I don't know if that will be finished by the time this season ends. So I hope they will continue that if it needs to be continued. We'll see if Seraph of the End ever comes back. I am always hoping out for that because, I hate unfinished stories. Unless that's the point of the stories. There are some stories that are cool because they're unfinished and because they, let you guess what the final exclamation point might be. We had one of those in the previous year. That might actually come up in the next episode for a specific reason. But yeah, that might also get finished in a not too distant future anyway, through a movie. We'll see. But yeah, let's hope that we'll at least get a second season of Sakugan, because that show is definitely worth it, and I would love to see the end of that story, because what we've seen until now is very promising and was very fun. And I think both of us had a good time. So we recommend you checking it out too. And we hope we get to return to this world again in the not too distant future and get to dig in again.
Go back to the labyrinth with David Bowie. Wait.
What?
Oh no.
And that is a wrap on the 124th episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our show is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to virt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. Our show is available on most of the popular podcast services, but it's always worth visiting animebrainfreeze.com for our review index and more. Leave us comments and questions on YouTube, follow us on Twitter at AnyBrainFreeze, or send an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. We would love to read your feedback. Thanks for tuning in, we hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next episode. Macht's gut,
So long, everybody.
Next time on Anime Brain Freeze, Anime Awards.